I can't think of anyone that's more certainly active in our community in many ways, not only in downtown issues and Gaukel Street creation and Hold the Line, so our rural, urban countryside. And actually, I first met Sam at a Hold the Line farm festival when I was running for a regional chair. So that would have been back in 2018. And we had a great chat then. And I've always been impressed watching Sam do the different things that he does. And what I love about community activists, these are people that want to share their knowledge with the community. They do it for free. They volunteer. They spend so much time. They spend so much time researching. In fact, Sam recently reached out to me when we were talking about employment lands and talking about North Dumfries and what's happening out there. And again, just volunteering his time to make representations on plans in other communities. And Sam as well, we all look forward to his next Sam Live Local Tour and his hip hop revolution. So Sam, I'm gonna turn it over to you. Thanks for being here tonight.
Thank you so much, Rob, and thanks to all the other previous speakers. I think we have a really great breadth of knowledge here, and I've been really excited to sit back and listen to what you all have to say. I also recognize a lot of names that are in the audience here and in the chat, and I'm really grateful for such an engaged group of people, whether we're speaking or whether we're chatting or listening. A lot of names that I recognize from being engaged in city council delegations or different opportunities for activism and improving our neighborhoods. So we're here because we're talking about local democracy. We're talking about turnout, voter turnout. We know that voter turnout was low in the last municipal election. And to me, that the turnout itself is not the issue. The turnout is a symptom. And what's it a symptom of? I think a lot of our thoughts turn to it's a symptom of apathy, or it's a symptom of indifference, and people just don't care as much as they used to. But I don't think that's necessarily true. In my day-to-day life, when I talk to my neighbors, when I talk to people that I work with, people care about issues that are going on in their neighborhood. People care if the garbage isn't being picked up. People care that the sidewalks aren't being plowed. People care if the rec center is too overbooked and their kids can't play sports. People care if they can't find daycare spaces. And I feel like there is a high level of political awareness in the community, but it doesn't mean that we're necessarily organized or we know who the right person is or what the right level of government is to address that issue. So that's a part of the reason why I got involved in a group called Hold the Line, Waterloo Region, is about that disconnect. And Hold the Line exists to promote and champion the idea of the countryside boundary line, which is the line that separates Waterloo Region's rural areas, farmland, and protected environmental land from our urban areas. And that line was created in the Waterloo Region Growth Management Strategy. It's a way to stop urban sprawl from going too fast, from going too far. And it was challenged in the 2015 Regional Official Plan. So this was something that the regional government said, here's the line. After this is countryside. You can't build more subdivisions. Some landowners who had bought farms in order to turn them into subdivisions appealed it and fought. And it went all the way to the Ontario Divisional Court. Actually, it went past the Ontario Municipal Board, and it went to the courts. And this was a situation where our regional government actually fought very hard to protect that vision of a sustainable community where we can grow upwards instead of outwards and use our land and our resources efficiently. But the problem was I didn't see, and the other organizers behind Hold the Line, we didn't see a lot of public engagement and public support and public will behind that. So in that case, we ended up at a solution that was basically split down the middle. The line did expand, but not as much as the developers wanted it to. So that was 2015. And there's a few community organizers that got started making this idea about a hold the line festival or a hold the line bike ride or something to raise awareness about this very obscure policy that's actually quite important. So how do we get people excited about a line on a map that's buried in chapters and chapters of a regional official plan policy? Well, we got a musician, Richard Garvey, folk musician who many of you might know, Sean Campbell, who's a community organizer in the co-op space and all around great human being, Alex Saflarska, a local business owner at a cooperative brewery. Together We're Bitter. I was involved. We had also Tyler Plant, who's a creative designer. And we put our heads together and we said, look, we're going to have an event. We're going to have it on a farm that's near the line. We're going to invite foodies. We're going to invite local restaurants. We're going to have the environmental activists who already know about all this stuff. We're going to have the cycling community come out. And we're going to do a bike ride, a local music festival on a farm where we can taste food that has been grown here in Waterloo region. And the whole point of that was to unify and bring together people who may not have been in the same room. So if we set out to do a public information session about why the growth management strategy is important, we may not have reached people who care about agriculture or who care about local food or like going to their local restaurants. We might not have reached the cycling clubs that meet every weekend to go out for a ride together. But when we organized something that was interactive and engaging, and it was a full day of fun, and then while we have people there together, we have an opportunity to talk with one another. We have the opportunity to say, hey, I know you love riding your bike every Sunday through the rural roads of Waterloo region. Did you know that there's a threat that line could be extended? And do you want to put your name on our mailing list in case there's ever a threat and we need you to sign a petition? It's really bit by bit communication and opportunities like that have helped build a lot of public support for the Countryside Line. So we had a festival in St. Jacobs in 2017. We had a festival in Wilmot in 2018, and that was also a municipal election year. So we invited all the candidates out as well. And I do believe that, through that effort and through the hundreds of people that came to both of those festivals, this whole concept of the Countryside Line has become mainstream in Waterloo region. The media talks about it a lot more than they used to. Politicians talk about it a lot more than they used to. And it's something that people now understand when they think about going to the farmer's market, or when they think about the new subdivision that is being built next door to them. That's a concept that's on their minds. So the way we achieved that wasn't by focusing on the issue itself and bringing it back to focusing on turnout. It's not about focusing on turnout itself, but focusing on the things that will eventually let people connect those dots to everything else that they care about in their day-to-day lives. So I don't know if I have time for one more story, Rob. I wasn't really keeping track of the time.
Yeah, no, go ahead, Sam. Absolutely, go ahead. Good to share these, Sam. It's good to share these experiences because it kind of connects with what Melissa was commenting about Meslin and the sort of stuff he's talking about, where you're doing things to engage the community on issues of local concern. And that gets them to build a buy-in to their community and an interest in what's happening municipally, because things like Hold the Line, if they're concerned about the boundary, who are the candidates that support the types of issues that are important to me locally? So go ahead.
Well, I'll just pivot a little bit and then talk about something in downtown Kitchener, which is Gaukel Street. So I believe we took a very similar approach in terms of trying to meet people where they're at and trying to build a broad coalition to achieve a certain policy objective. So the policy objective is there's not enough public space downtown. There's not enough parkland as we have a growing urban population. And some of our streets, even in the downtown, are still too car centric, and they're not safe for people. So people that are walking and cycling and using wheelchairs and pushing strollers. So there was a really great opportunity that came where as a business owner, I talked with our Business Improvement Association in the downtown and asked them whether they would support and provide a little bit of funding to try to have a pop-up event on Gaukel Street. And Gaukel Street is a tiny little 2-block street that connects City Hall with Willow River Park in downtown Kitchener. And it goes right past the old bus terminal, which had been decommissioned. So that road was not being used for buses anymore. It actually wasn't being used for much of anything anymore. And I spoke with Melissa Bowman here, who was at the time involved with the Victoria Park Neighborhood Association. So we got Business Association, Neighborhood Association. We talked with artists. We talked with tech companies who had offices in the area and wanted to see something like this happen. And really came up with lots of reasons and lots of brainstorming about what could we do with this space? How could we better serve the community with this space instead of just a 2-block stretch of road that nobody uses? So long story short, we really built a strong case because of the diversity of people that were involved. And it wasn't just people who were City Hall watchers, who are the ones always sending letters to council. It was really trying to engage our broader community. And like I said at the beginning, people are politically aware. I think a family who owns a dog, they know that maybe there's not enough dog parks downtown. That's something that they'd like to see. We interviewed some high school students. They said there's not enough basketball nets and skate parks downtown. Maybe that's what they would like to see. We interviewed musicians. They wanted to see a little performance stage on Gaukel Street. And it doesn't mean all of these things necessarily have to happen, but now we know that there's broad support for doing something better with this space. And the good news story at the end of all that was City Hall did approve a budget to turn Gaukel Street into a pedestrian street. That work is now well underway. You can go to Gaukel and see the picnic tables, and it's been blocked off to cars. But the effort was so successful that they also committed to doing a second street downtown near the Kitchener Market, which is going to be underway this year in 2023. So that process is full of little details that we can debate and discuss. But the big picture here is that by getting a lot of people from different walks of life who maybe have different priorities, but can all work towards the same goal, we were able to make a change happen that was really celebrated by everyone involved.
Yeah, and Sam, it makes me think too, when I think of City of Kitchener with the Love My Hood grants to get people involved in their community, Regional Waterloo, which just started the upstream services grants, those have so many impacts in our community beyond just engaging within the community, but making our communities a better and safer place. So thanks for sharing those experiences that you've had. I really appreciate you being out tonight.